Hey guys, Chris of the Polish Geek is back with another movie review, and I'm gonna review Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and I had such a blessed and great time with this movie because this is by far the best movie of all the three Sonic the Hedgehog movies. But before we get to it, first I'll say, new shirt. I actually got it as a Christmas gift from my sister. So yep, you'll see now this shirt you'll now be seeing this shirt quite a lot on this channel. Because said it's a Christmas gift from my sister. But I have to say, I think all those Sonic live action movies are literally getting better and better. Like the very first Sonic movie, I mean when first was getting announced and being made, I didn't care completely, and all this thing about changing the design of Sonic. Well, I did think it was very nice of the creators to listen to fans and give us all the design of Sonic we all like. But at the end of the day, because the video game movies generally don't tend to be not so good. I mean, movies based on video games tend not to be so good, at least back then, that I didn't really care all that much. But then I've heard that the movie apparently was good, so I watched it and had a really good time, and I thought that the movie was really good. And then when the sequel came out in 2022, I thought it was even better actually. But I say this by far is the best of them all actually. And as I said, I had a real blast with it, because what I especially like about those Sonic movies is that they're very much listening to fans and giving us all what we want. And it all started from how the design of Sonic, fans didn't like it because it resembled nothing, it looked nothing like the Sonic from the games. The creators listened and gave us the Sonic that all the fans want. And then, although it seemed like Jim Carrey wasn't gonna come back in this movie, but fans very much wanted him because he's one of the major highlights of this movie, so we got even more Jim Carrey. We'll talk about it soon enough, actually. But I also really love about those Sonic the Hedgehog 3 movies is that they very much honor the source material that they're based on, which is the video games, while still very much try to be their own thing and telling their own story, while very much using the video games and all the characters as an inspiration and very much honor them, which is how it should be done. What I also really love about all three of those Sonic movies is how each of them very much progresses the story forward, and each of them introduces new elements and characters from the games, and it all feels so organic and natural instead of forced. Like in the first movie, we were introduced to Sonic, of course, as well as Dr. Eggman, and then Sonic Human Family, although they're not from the games, but I think they are a nice addition to the story of the movies, very much so. And then Sonic the Hedgehog 2 introduced Tails and Knuckles, and now we already knew it from the post-credits scene admittedly in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, but of course this one introduced Shadow the Hedgehog, as well as Dr. Robotnik's grandfather, Gerald Robotnik, and it all felt so natural and organic, and it very much served the story very, very well, and I really loved that. And also I say, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 actually had the most emotional moments of all the three Sonic the Hedgehog movies, but I do want you to know one thing. Those are certainly not the movies that generally require lots of thinking and all that though. Those are very much like turn off your brain movies and just have fun. And sometimes those types of movies are literally all you need, because this movie was just a lot of fun and so entertaining, and I just constantly had a smile on my face as I was watching it. It was funny as well, it was funny at some moments, entertaining, the characters pretty likable and all that, and the story was pretty engaging, even if, as I said, it certainly doesn't require much thinking. But there certainly were some really sad, emotional moments in this movie too, and yet I say that did not feel out of place. They perfectly made sense in the context of the story. And I think Shadow the Hedgehog in this movie was a really awesome character. I have to be honest, I'm not really familiar with the game in which he debuted. I mean, because the only Sonic games I played, and I really liked them all by the way, were original Sega Genesis games, with Sonic the Hedgehog 2 being actually my favorite. But I also did play Sonic and the Secret Rings, as well as Shadow the Hedgehog spin-off on the GameCube. yep, I really like Shadow the Hedgehog spin-off. I know that's technically actually not his debut. Actually, I haven't played any of his debut games, so yes, my familiarity with Shadow the Hedgehog actually mostly comes from Shadow the Hedgehog spin-off video game. But I really like that game, by the way, and I'm really glad that Shadow was really awesome in the movie, and I think they very much honored the character. Although, admittedly, I think it could be said for franchise as the whole, because that's, in general, what I really love about those Sonic the Hedgehog movies, as I already said. I really love how they very much honor the video games and the source material that they're from, while still telling very much their own story, with using the game's story and the characters as an inspiration. And as I said, everything here feels so organic. But one of the major things I loved about Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is again Jim Carrey's performance as Dr. Ivo Eggman, as well as now also his grandfather Gerald Robotnik. Like, Jim Carrey, I think, was already pretty excellent in the first two movies, but here he's just awesome. And I really loved how wonderfully he managed to make both Dr. Robotnik as well as his grandfather, Dr. Gerald Robotnik, very much separate characters, like clearly very much playing by the same actor, obviously, but they both very much felt like their own separate characters, and each time one of them, or maybe both of them, were on screen, they were just like stealing the whole thing for me. But again, what I also love about actually Dr. Gerald Robotnik, I mean, I know he was from the games, but as I said, I'm actually not very familiar with him from the games because I haven't played much games with him. But what I do love about Dr. Gerald Robotnik is that although he does have a pretty sad and emotional, very sad backstory, but that didn't very much detract from his villainy, because I've probably been complaining quite a few times on this channel already how much I don't like making villains too sympathetic, and he's a perfect example of how well to give a villain a sad and tragic backstory without making him too sympathetic. Kind of like Davy Jones from Pirates of the Caribbean, who's also a perfect example of a villain who does in fact have a pretty sad backstory without making him too sympathetic and without detracting from his villainy. Like, yeah, Davy Jones, one of my favorite villains of all time, by the way. And I say Dr. Gerald Robotnik in this movie very much is also this. I mean, like, he does have a sad, emotional backstory, but you can't really say it detracts much from his overall evil villainy. Overall, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 was a real blast and a great time through and through. I think this is by far the best one of all the three Sonic the Hedgehog movies, and I'm only looking forward to more, because I suggest you stay for the post-credits scene. It's pretty obvious that there is gonna be more, especially that Sonic 4 has already been announced anyway, but yep, I'm even further now, even more invested in this live-action Sonic the Hedgehog universe. And what do I hope for future in the series? I do hope that they do introduce Black Doom at some point, actually, the main villain of Shadow the Hedgehog video game, and because the creator said that the reason he didn't use Black Doom was because he thought it would be a little too much and he wanted the movie more grounded, but you can't really call that movie particularly grounded, so I'm just hoping they're saving him for later. I mean, I guess I don't want him in Sonic 4 yet, because I think it will be still too early, but I do really hope that they do in fact introduce Black Doom later, because yep, he's a really intimidating and cool villain, and he totally also deserves very much to appear in this live action universe. But overall, as I already said, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 was a ton of fun, really great time, and I'm only now even more invested in this live action Sonic universe, and I'm looking forward to Sonic 4. And thank you guys for checking out this review. Press the like button, please subscribe to this channel, and I will talk to you soon in another video. Talk to you then, bye!